Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. So happy to see all you lovely names in the chat. And I'm so lucky to talk to Tara Rooney today. She's an amazing photographer, and we're going to talk about self-portraits, portraits of other people. She's going to show us some great editing. So it's going to be a great stream. And welcome to the stream, Tara.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
And just for everyone on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, come over to Behance because we have a chat going on Behance, and you can drop some questions if you have any, or let us know your thoughts on photography, inspiration, all these good things. But now we're going to jump into our topic. Tara, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, so I'm a portrait photographer from London. I've been shooting for about 10 years since I was a teenager. You know, when you get your first camera and you take photos of everything and they're not very good. But yeah, I've been shooting professionally for about 5 years, and I specialize in portraits and self-portraits, especially during quarantine. Self-portraits are my go-to.
Yes.
But yeah, so as you can see on here, there's me there, just sort of.
How did you do that glitter? I really want to know.
I just got the glitter. I think I was inspired by something similar I saw. Lots of rainbow stuff going on during Pride Month, and I wanted to do something similar.
Yes.
And I just got the glitter, and it took me quite a while, but I sort of tried to really precisely get it in the sort of tear shape, and
it looks great.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Must have been a nightmare to get it off, though.
Oh, gosh. And there was glitter all over the house for weeks after. Yes. It's one of those things that you can't really get rid of. Once you have it, it's everywhere. But it was worth it. I love the shot. So
yeah, it is so worth it. But I know because I went to a pride parades before the pandemic, obviously, and also had a lot of glitter everywhere. And I know what a nightmare it is.
Yes, exactly. Glitter. Yeah, it's a nightmare. But yeah, and there's a few glittery ones in here. This was, when was that? Again, I think this was pre-pandemic. Gosh, it was a different time, wasn't it?
It feels like a different lifetime.
Exactly.
So long ago.
Yeah. And then this was before as well, when I could do big group shoots. This was a little project I did with sort of just big groups of women, and it's kind of all just none of them knew each other actually, and I called it my Unity project, and I would just get a bunch of people, do a little casting call, and they'd get to know each other, and we all went to dinner after. They actually all made friends. So power of photography, eh?
Yeah, I had the same thing because I usually I have also shoots with bigger groups of people, and I find it so interesting that in the beginning everyone is a bit shy, and it's just
absolutely. And then look at this, they're lying on top of each other.
Yes. And I think it creates such a bond to be in front of a camera together. As weird as that sounds.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, it's like with self-portraits, just it brings out, it lets you express your emotion in a way that I think you wouldn't otherwise, if that makes sense. So
you said you got into self-portraits when the pandemic started, or were you taking self-portraits before already?
I was doing it before. I'd say I started maybe 2017, when I was a bit, sort of in a bit of a block, and I just tried it and found it a really good outlet. And then I think during the pandemic, I sort of did it more regularly, and I think really found my groove and my style in my self-portraits.
Yeah.
There's some, let me find some that are.
Just a nerdy technical question I have, because I also tried self-portraits and it didn't go well. Do you connect your camera to your phone, or do you have these devices that trigger your camera?
Yeah, so it depends on the shot. What I used to do is I would always have a self-timer, but that is obviously quite stressful. Usually I use my phone. However, sometimes if I want my hands in shot, I will just resort to self-timer. So it depends on the shot, really.
Yeah. Okay. Because I did the same thing, and I was just looking at my phone, and then you can see that you're looking at your phone while you're taking
exactly. It is very tricky, I find. So
No, I love I really like the colors you have in your images. That's just, the orange, like the
Yeah, that's one of my favorite backdrops, actually. I love the orange. It's not
yes.
the most popular choice because obviously it's a bit bold, but when people choose it, I get very excited. So,
Oh,
yeah.
Sean is asking in the chat, what are you
Hmm.
shooting with? Basically, I think he means what gear you're using.
Gear. Yeah, so I'm a Canon shooter. I have nothing against the other ones. I've just well,
Same.
pretty much just been Canon for years, so it makes
Yeah.
sense to stay with them. It's a 5D Mark IV. And then my go-to lens is the Tamron 24 to 70 2.8, or the Nifty 50 1.8.
Yeah.
Classic,
The
cheap and
Nifty
cheerful, but
50.
really good. Such a
Yeah.
good lens.
Yeah. I heard someone saying recently the only lens you need is the Nifty 50 and you're good. That's
I think
basically
that's true. I mean, unless you're in a small space,
true.
a little bit tricky. But yes, I agree. I think the 50, if I could only have one lens, it would be that one, hands
Yeah.
down.
And even the
So
1.8, I think, is enough. You don't necessarily
definitely
need to go to 1.2 or 1.4. Like,
no.
I think the
I
one.
actually never even go down to 1.8, to be honest.
No.
I usually am about 2.5, two
Yeah.
lowest. So
Yeah. Otherwise, you have the tip of your nose in focus and the eyes
exactly. Exactly. That's always the issue I get when taking photos of my dog. It's getting her whole face in focus. It's
I know. I know. And we're going to talk about your dog later for sure, because
we will.
she's going to make an appearance.
Oh, yeah, hopefully. Exactly.
Wonderful. So you are going to edit one of your photos, one of your self-portraits?
I am indeed. Yes. I mean, I've got two that we could do, depending on time.
Yes.
So, firstly, this is the before.
Yes.
So this is myself in my studio, my dog's
and
running.
your beautiful dog.
And this is the after. And I chose this one because I really like the story behind it, which I'll tell you if you'd like to hear.
Please.
So this was during pandemic, maybe April last year.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my first ever self-portrait paid job commission.
Oh, wow.
Not this particular photo, actually. The actual photos of the job are here, which I'll show you. And it's a really cool project. So a woman I met on Instagram who, I love the creative community on there. And it's amazing that I wouldn't have met her without Instagram. She lives in Utah and she is an ex-Mormon. And she was writing a pilot for a show about leaving the Mormon church. And she wanted some sort of reference images for her presentation. Mm-hmm. So she came to me and asked me to sort of take photos of the character, which is based on herself, for the presentation. So the crossed arms, which I didn't know before I did this project with Morgan, the woman, crossed arms, that's a Mormon prayer thing that I think you only do in Mormonism. I could be wrong, but I think that is specific to Mormonism. And then there's this.
Yes.
And I just love this story because with self-portraits, I never thought that could be a job. You know what I mean? I thought no one cares about self-portraits. I just do it for myself and hope someone will enjoy them. But the fact that you can do something really creative and it be a job and you actually enjoy it, and you don't just have to do corporate photos. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's like one of the most creative and meaningful jobs I've done, and it's actually been a job. So I just love that.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So
and the images are lovely.
Yeah,
really,
I mean,
love the colors. Again, it's so great.
I think I have the little presentation here as well. So that's like the pitch she showed. And it's pretty wild. Like that's her. I don't know if you can see in the corner there, that's her. It was just so meaningful as well. I love the story.
Yes,
just fascinating. I mean, I always found religion fascinating. I wasn't raised with it, but I love hearing about people, and their experience with it, especially because Utah, as well. It's like the capital.
Yeah,
So,
that's where the church, like the biggest church is,
yep,
I think, if I'm correct.
exactly. So yeah, I just learned lots of new things, and it meant a lot to her. And so that's why I picked that one. So
That's
this
an
is the
incredible.
before. Yeah,
Yes.
before and after. And actually, this particular shot, I will say, wasn't the one that she ended up using. This was an outtake because obviously my dog jumped in. But I just feel like it showcases my process. I like the whole getting rid of the studio and my dog always jumping in shot when I don't want her to.
And posing. I think your dog looks like she's like, let me see what you do. I do the same.
She knows she's pretty. That's the thing. She just shows off. So
yeah. Also, Jackie is asking if Morgan, the woman you did the shot for, did she get that made? Do you know anything about that?
I don't think it's happening yet. She had all these pictures good to go and then another lockdown. So I think it's still in the process, but I don't think it's confirmed. So fingers crossed. I will always post if, there's updates on that because I'm definitely rooting for it. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. And Sean said Salt Lake City, and I think that's where the biggest church is in Utah.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we all know now.
Yes.
Okay, great. I love that shot, and I love to see how you do it. One thing I also want to ask, how do you pick your backdrop colors?
Yeah, so I actually started with just pink. I got it because I wanted to do what I call my friendship series. So this kind of thing. And that was just a passion project. And I thought, I need a backdrop just because it was getting colder. And the UK, I can't shoot outside anymore. Yeah. So I thought I need a backdrop. So I just got pink. And then that led to a bunch more work. And then I had the money built up to get some more colors. I think the next was blue and white. And then I have just kind of built up a collection. I've tried to get a collection of sort of very warm, like, the orange and the yellow. Is the yellow here? Maybe I'll find a yellow shot. Oh yeah, there's a yellow shot there. The only one I'd say I don't have is green, and then I recently got purple. I like sort of pastel tones, basically, in short.
Me too.
I like it pastel because you can always make it darker.
Yeah.
Which I like. And then it has that whole minimalist look, which I find very calming. That's kind of my go-to. So yeah, color-wise, I've tried to just have a nice mix.
Do you change the colors of the backdrop later, or do you usually just keep it as it is? So that you go
change it a bit. Yeah, I'd say I do like the muted look, the sort of slightly desaturated look. Yeah, I think I do. I don't change the hue too much. Maybe I'll make it slightly on the greener side, but yeah, no, I think just a bit of desaturation. That's kind of it, really.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people, not a lot, that's completely over exaggerated. I know so many. No, I know people that basically just shoot with, let's say, a gray background. And then just mask out the subject and then change the color of the background.
Oh, see, that is something I find really hard. I still, even though I use Photoshop quite a lot, I don't know if I quite have the seamlessness to completely change a backdrop. I've tried it and it just looks weird when I do it.
Yeah, because I also prefer having the actual color in the background already. But sometimes I think people, I don't know, maybe it's because we all use Photoshop so much. Sometimes people assume because they're like, did you change the color? Was this gray before? It's like, no, this is actually the color. This is what I picked.
No, I definitely prefer it. I think also it's just that general rule, isn't it? You want to give yourself as little to do in editing because you just always want to have everything right in shot. Yes. So it looks more natural.
Yeah,
I would say.
I also like to see the outcome already. Maybe my imagination is just not good enough.
No, I agree. And also with styling as well. Like a lot of the time I will try and match, to the backdrop. So for example, like this, like they're all wearing pink and the theme of the shoot is very pink. So for me to change that later, I think would be changing the actual theme of the shoot, for example. So no, I would agree. I much prefer sort of knowing roughly what I'm going to get, you know, when I'm shooting. So yeah.
Love that. So should we jump into your first image?
Yes, let's do it. So yes, this is my dog and I, Siggy.
Do you
Sigrid.
usually start with Lightroom, or do you...
I start with Lightroom. I always start with Lightroom. I don't know if that's how other people do it, but yeah, I always do Lightroom first, actually. And then I go into Photoshop. So first thing I'll do is I'll straighten it out a bit. So get that. Oh, no, maybe that's probably not.
What lens did you use for this one?
That is a good question.
I think it can tell you. I mean, you're on 27, so I guess it was the...
Oh, yeah, that would be my 24-70 lens then. Yeah. So that would have been... Yeah, I would have shot that landscape. And
yeah.
I'm going to just straighten that a bit more. Maybe a bit more like that. Yeah. And then... Because I'm mainly focusing on composition and sort of minimalism today, I won't go into too much detail on how I made this preset, but I have a preset which I call Moody, and that's kind of my go-to, and I'll whack that on. Basically, to shorten what that preset is like, I'd say the shadows are up quite a bit, black's up a bit, it's a little bit on the greener side, the tint. What else did I do? Vibrance is down. Yeah, and I'd say, and something I like to do is I like to make sort of the pinks like ever so slightly orangey. It's just something I quite like doing. And
desaturate them a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Just make them a bit more moody. In fact, actually, I'll bring the blacks up a bit more. Oh yeah, maybe I'll make it a bit warmer. Yeah,
I like that too.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So,
do you usually work with presets? Like you self-build presets?
Yeah, I just because it cuts my workflow. I mean, I used to work with other photographers' presets, but I just found that they kind of, like, obviously they were good, but I felt like they weren't looking like my thing. So once I learned, I would use them as a base when I was starting out. And now I've sort of learned what my style is. I've made my own little presets, which I've literally just called Moodier. Or I'll have one called Moody Today, which is like my most recent one, like what I'm doing today. And that was yesterday. Let's see if there's little bits I can get rid of. And then I'll probably go into Photoshop quite soon, actually, because most of what I'll be doing is getting rid of this background and changing the aspect, because I don't know if you remember from the final image.
Yes.
It's sort of formatted for that Instagram, that 4x5 portrait, just because that's my main portfolio. So
already getting compliments for your dog. The dog is adorable.
She really is, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah. She is my absolute pride and joy.
Yes.
I love how she just jumps into my photos.
Yes, and that
uninvited
sweater is so adorable.
Oh yeah, well, she gets so cold.
Yeah. My dog too.
Oh gosh, yeah. Let's see if there's any little things I can get rid of. Save doing it in Photoshop. Oh,
but I have one question about presets, because I also at the beginning used or tried to use presets, but I think those presets, if you create a preset, you need to... No, let me rephrase this. If you shoot a photo, you know what preset you want to use on it. Like if you have a preset where you know it dims down the light, when you have a preset, you need to know the preset to take a photo that works with that preset, basically.
Yes.
If you just take photos, like not thinking about the edit, just putting on a preset usually doesn't work, because I feel like photographers that sell their presets have a very specific style of taking photos. So a preset might look extremely different on a photo that you've taken, just because the way you take a photo, like maybe they take the photo always a bit overexposed or underexposed, because they know that's how the preset would look best.
Yes, that is a really good point.
With other people's presets is I don't know. I found it to be more frustrating than helpful sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I remember early, and this is not to shame using presets, because I totally respect why people do it. But the problem I found is that there'll be photographers, I love their work, I'd buy their presets, put them on my photos, and be like, why do my photos not look as good as theirs do? And I think that's just because, as you say, my style is different, so it doesn't make sense with their preset.
Yeah.
And it's likewise with like, for example, I don't use presets on my headshots. So if I just show you, I also shoot actor headshots. And with those, I take a much more natural edit. I mean, apart from this one, actually, I think this one is using my moody preset. But in general, I won't use one because it doesn't really make sense with headshots. Actor headshots are meant to be quite plain and clean. Yeah, not plain. More sort of clean and simple.
Yeah.
So as you can see, they've not got that moody kind of, well, that one a little bit. But yeah, in general. So I know what you mean. It is something that I think it can be a little bit limiting. Yeah, no, I agree.
For the beginning, it's probably a good starting point because you can then adjust accordingly to your image.
Yes.
The expectation of buying a preset and then having your photo look like the photo of the photographer you purchased the preset from is...
It never does. It never does. Yeah, no, I mean, so many times where I spent money on presets and I sort of go, oh gosh, I really hoped that this would transform my photos. But the fact of the matter is you've got to shoot for them.
Exactly. Exactly.
So we're going to go into Photoshop. Yeah, I didn't have to do too much in Lightroom, actually. That was pretty straightforward. So, I'll go over to Photoshop.
I assume you do all the like retouching and removing bits and pieces and whatever. You do that in Photoshop later.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I did the sort of odd little, bits of fluff on the backdrop in Lightroom, but yeah, it's mainly in Photoshop. Yeah. So what I will do first, before I crop and change the aspect, is I will fill in the sides, just because then that means when you change it to portrait, you're less likely, because I use content-aware fill, you're less likely to get this weird stuff when you do it, like all my backdrops, the ladder, shelf, all that stuff, the cooking book. I don't know if you can see in the corner.
Yeah, I can see it.
Cooking book to weigh it down. I should just get weights, shouldn't I? That's what professionals do. But
I mean, I just tape it.
yeah, tape. It's either tape or books. And obviously, the first time you do it, it will look a bit weird. But I'll be doing it a few times to make it look better. So, yeah, let's see how long that takes. Hopefully, not too long.
The rendering.
Yeah, exactly. That's always the. Let's do this side.
Yes.
Very nice. It's always very satisfying, isn't it?
I'm always a bit mind blown when I'm like, wow. Because even if you have to do it a few times, it often does a really good job.
Oh, it really does. Yeah, I mean, it does most of the work for you, I find. And then I just do a bit of clone stamping over it. In fact, actually, whilst we're here, I'll show you one of my really satisfying ones. When I was in a studio, it's called the Peanut Factory Studio. I don't know if you can see that very well.
Yes.
This is the before.
Yeah.
And then, oh wait, is it not letting me show you the after? And then this is the after, which is very satisfying.
Oh, wow.
They go from, I mean, I love that. It's very satisfying, isn't it? Just from that to that, that to that.
That is really cool. I love that.
It just creates such a different feel, doesn't it? And in the background, you can see the makeup artist and her boyfriend.
Yeah, looking. Like, are we done already? No.
Yeah. And then from that.
Ooh, that is a wonderful image. I really like that.
Yeah, and that's content-aware fill and a bit of clone stamping. And that wasn't too hard. And that's something I'd say, bear in mind when shooting, maybe make sure you have enough space around your subject, because if they were really close to her, it would have been much more difficult, I think. So
yeah.
Or do the
And I think
bottom.
sometimes people assume it's that big magic and crazy thing you've done, but the simple tricks
It
sometimes
really
work
is.
best.
Yeah. No, because a lot of time people ask me, oh, how do you get the background so seamless? And I think a lot of it is shooting with a colorama that makes your job much easier rather than, what I used to do before I could afford coloramas was get a bunch of sort of wrapping paper and tape it up and stuff. But it just looked a bit, I don't know.
Wrinkly?
Yeah, crinkly. And obviously you couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah.
It would all be just squares of wrapping paper and it just didn't look as good. So
What I used to do is use sheets, like bed sheets and stuff in the beginning, where I was like, oh, I have a pink or I don't know, blue sheet. And then there were so many wrinkles on it. And it was such a nightmare to make it look flat.
Yeah. Though, that's become a trend. I don't know if you've seen in the past year or last summer, that was a really big thing. People would bring their bed sheets outside. And shoot a pool. And they'd make it look so cool. And I was like, what? That looks so good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think shooting with fabric, either you have to embrace that it has, like, it's going to be wrinkly and not flat.
Yes, it would always have a very boho feel when they did it.
Exactly. For me, it's either you embrace it or it has to be paper.
I agree. I very much agree.
This like in-between thing.
Exactly. So as you can see, I'm doing the content fill with again, and it's looking much better.
It looks already so good.
Yeah. And it's got a nice little gradient to it.
Yes.
Because I use these two little quite cheap lights from Amazon. I don't have, sort of big, what do you call them? They're just little softbox lights. So.
Oh, Sean says he uses the history brush to remove wrinkles. I know I use like frequency separation and the history brush to remove wrinkles, but it takes a lot of time.
It does.
Prefer just to not have to do that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so I'm quite happy with this for now. I will get rid of some of the bumps and stuff, but I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change
the ratio,
make it a bit. And this is a good thing. It makes sure you have the content aware ticked when you're doing the crop.
Yeah.
Like that. How much bigger do I want to make it? Like that? Yeah, so I'm in that, what do you call it? The third. And Siggy's also in the third. That's pretty even, I think. Oh wait, maybe a tiny bit more that way. Let's see how that looks.
The magic.
I know, I'm just waiting.
Anticipation.
Yeah. See how it goes. I'm sure I'll need to do a bit of clone stamping over it, but that's all right. Oh yeah, no, that looks pretty good. I think what I want to fix up is that sort of, I don't know if you can see, there's like a fairly harsh gradient there. So I might try and soften that a bit. Make that a bit smaller. Maybe make it about 45% opacity. Yeah. And then just sort of try and blend them a bit.
Yeah. And what lights are you using when you're shooting stuff like that?
They're from a brand called, I don't know if you've heard them, they're called ESDDI.
So just soft boxes?
Yeah, little softbox lights. Yeah, they're literally just little square, you put the little boxes on. Very cheap and cheerful.
Yeah. But do you use one or two lights?
I use two. And then a combination of natural light as well. I try to always shoot during the day so I have as much light coming in as possible.
Yeah.
Just because otherwise you get some harsh shadows and stuff.
For sure.
Let's see. Let's try and blend this a little bit. Oh, yeah. There we go. Oh, wait, actually, let's see before. Oh, maybe I did overdo it. Maybe I need a bigger stamp. There we go. Ooh. Try not to clone stamp the dog. Yeah, that wouldn't be. Oh, yeah. See, accidentally clone stamping myself. I'm still getting used to my new laptop. It's got like
it's
just different keyboard.
Yeah.
You're just still.
Do you use
working.
the trackpad?
Yes, I do. I'm not really a mouse kind of person. Is that weird?
No, but it's not weird. I have high respect for everyone that uses their trackpad to edit.
I think it's because I have small hands, so I just sort of like being in my little editing cave.
I just couldn't aim, probably. I don't know.
Oh wait, I think I've accidentally clone stamped. Oh wait, no, we're good. We're good. Just a little bit. I can't tell if it's fingerprints on my screen or on the actual photo sometimes. It's a little bit. In fact, maybe I will do another content aware fill to smooth that out, see if that helps. See how that looks.
Every time I see this like wheelie, a friend of mine calls it the wheel of death.
Yes, exactly. You know what? I might. Sometimes you got to decide whether to take it or leave it. I might leave it for that one and just do a stamp. Even though it takes a little bit longer, I think I'd rather just.
Do you do skin retouching on your portraits, on the headshots you do?
On the headshots, more so because the actors want me to. But for my passion-y projects and self-portraits, I actually don't, just because they're usually quite moody anyway. And I feel like soft. Having perfect skin wouldn't make sense if they're, moody and all. Yeah. Look at me, here I am, these are my emotions.
Yeah. No, just because doing skin retouching with a trackpad, I would be like, wow, that is so hard.
No, I mean, I haven't done headshots since I've got my new laptop, so perhaps when I do, I won't be using my trackpad. I probably will have to go for. Yeah, no, that would be really hard. Yes. Here we go. Let's see. We got this. Oh wait, no, I've actually done a bit of my face. Don't want. Should I zoom out and see how that looks? It's a little bit blotchy.
I always like to zoom out just because it works so zoomed in, you just forget the whole overall image sometimes.
Completely agree. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you think something looks great and then you zoom out and you go, oh wait, actually I think I've overdone it.
Yeah.
So let's see, maybe I'll do a bigger stamp a bit further out. And I guess it just depends how gradienty I want it to be. It probably won't end up exactly like this image. Where is it? Oh, yeah. See, that's quite smooth. I'm wondering. I did this quite a while ago. I'm like, how did I get that so smooth? Maybe it won't be as smooth.
I know. I did an editing video recently for the first time, like editing live on stream. And I showed the image. This is the final image. And then when I edited it again, thinking the exact same thing, did not do the exact same thing. I was like,
exactly.
Where did I turn wrong?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, something that might help me is selecting subject and then inverting it, and then that way I won't. Oh no, program error. Then that way I won't stamp on myself. Maybe if I do better.
Do you sometimes use like just a brush for the backgrounds, maybe just to lighten it up or something? Or do you just use the clone stamp tool?
So I'll do clone stamp, and then once I'm done with that, I will sometimes fill it at sort of 10% opacity with the color. Let's see if that's worked. Select subject. No, can't find me for whatever reason. Maybe it's confused because there's a dog as well.
Maybe. Like, we don't know what to select, the dog or the human.
I mean, she's the star of the show, but...
Yeah, I would have not been surprised if I would have just selected the dog. Like, what do you want? Yeah. Is that not what you wanted?
Yeah, she's... Oh, bless her. Yeah, just so I don't accidentally stamp myself. Oh, that's a bit much. There we go. Cool. And then I'll just output that to a selection. Cool. And then inverse. Cool. And that means when I stamp it, I hopefully shouldn't stamp myself.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe just make that a bit smoother. And I always save as I go along because I'm very paranoid about it.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, if it crashes, I mean, it won't because it's a new laptop and should be fine. But
if it does, laptop goes back right away.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I've had just one or two really bad experiences data-wise that it's left me scarred for life. I just once had this thing where my computer crashed mid-editing and my computer, for some reason, decided to wipe everything. It got rid of the RAWs as well. And I was like, why did you do that? Why? So everything was gone and it was so stressful. And I was like, why would you do this to me? What did I do to deserve this computer? The cruelty of it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Oh, yeah. That's so I've just gotten into the habit of Command S constantly. There we go. This is looking much better. Maybe do that a bit. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm liking that a bit more. But I think I will do a bit more. Just in case. There we go. It's interesting because when I did this job for her, she specifically wanted pink. And I think that was because of the whole, it's based on her younger self, which I thought was very interesting. It's always interesting to hear what colors clients want to use and why. I always find that really.
I also find it I think it's always cool to tell the stories of how jobs actually happen. As a freelancer, it's like, where's the next job coming from?
Oh
and
gosh,
hearing from these stories, like someone reached out on Instagram, having this love-hate relationship with Instagram. It's just really good to hear that stuff can still happen from social media.
Exactly. You know, I have a really good experience of Instagram, but I totally sympathize and understand why some people don't like it because social media in general can be really toxic. So, but fortunately for me, in my experience, most of my work has come from Instagram.
Oh, that's good.
Or word of mouth, and then the original person was Instagram. So I really like it, but I totally understand why some people don't. And I do think with photographers, it does make you limit yourself a bit because you might say, oh, that's not very on theme, or that's not going to look good in the grid. And you sort of say, no, that's bad. I can't, think of Instagram when I'm shooting. I've just got to shoot and then, not limit myself. But I quite like this actually. Maybe the top needs a bit more. Let me select. Yeah, maybe up here. And then I'll probably fill it a little bit.
And another question from my side, did you get any other self-portrait jobs, or is that something you want to do in the future, or what do you see your work looking forward?
That's a very good question. I think that's been the only one. We had a period in the UK where we kind of had lockdown lifted, so I did some portraits, like artist portraits and stuff for other people. In the future, I think I'd love to just do more of the group shoots and sort of more things focused on, sisterhood and that kind of stuff. Because that's a theme that I have a lot in my work. I don't know if that's, hopefully that's come across. But stuff like this, I love doing, I think just, that's kind of where I see my work going, hopefully. And I've actually started, before we had this lockdown, started shooting couples, which I really enjoyed. So I think just keep trying new things and just this was for some people who started a podcast. I love group stuff. It's really hard to light, But
I wanted to ask because you cannot shoot that at 2.8.
No. Yeah, lighting wise, it is a bit tricky. I will admit, I would love to get more lights. If I do more group stuff in the future, I will probably have to up my lighting. But yeah, I love group stuff. I don't know what it is. It's just something really magical about it.
Yeah. I feel like the dynamic is different. Like people don't feel so lost because I think sometimes people are just like alone in front of the camera and don't really know
exactly
it's easier with other people.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I really enjoy it. There's another one here that I wanted to show just because it's quite fun. Oh yeah, like this. That's using a prism.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of the brand. It's called Get Fractals.
No.
I don't know if you're aware of it. That's basically, they have these especially made for photographers where they have a little handle on them so you can hold them over the lens. Like it's really, they're really useful. I would recommend.
I'll try that.
Yeah, no, they're good. And they came in a set of 3, so different prismy effects. But yeah, I would recommend them. They're really good.
I've been looking because I think I tried like some from just a toy store.
Yes.
So it's just really tricky.
Yeah, no, they're great. Right, I'm going to select myself and the dog again, and then I'm going to do, as I mentioned earlier, filling in just a tiny bit, just like a little, literally just 10% opacity.
And do you work with like a creative team when it comes to styling and other stuff, or do you do all of that yourself?
Not really. I mean, I like to go really minimal when it comes to makeup and stuff. And I guess it depends on the client. If they want to have a makeup artist there, then of course, you know, there are a couple people I've worked with, which I'd love to work with again. But generally, no. Generally, it's pretty small, bare bones operation. Oh, actually, that's a bit too much. I'm going to just select slightly less dog. But yeah, no, not really. Which is interesting because when I do have a stylist or makeup artist there, I sort of don't know what I'm doing as much because I sort of go, oh gosh, like there's more cooks in the kitchen. I mean, usually it's great. I've always enjoyed it. It's just different. You know what I mean? Yeah. You just sort of go, ooh.
I feel like it just takes, or like in my experience, just takes more preparation.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, especially when the makeup artist, because the makeup always takes quite a while.
Takes a while, and also you need to communicate what the overall look should be.
Exactly.
You need to prep for that. So it's just, I think, can work really well if you have the right preparation and the right team.
Yes, exactly. I have done some really nice collabs with some makeup artists, which have been really fun. But I think that was a specific kind of, we're going to collab together because, you know, we want to do this for fun. Whereas work-wise, headshots, I just let them do what they want to do. You know, they turn up how they want to be in their photos.
Yeah. And I think for that, it's usually better. Just so that nobody puts makeup on them. That doesn't feel like...
Exactly. Yeah, so sure. I'm literally just going to fill it like 10%. And then I'll smooth it around the subject's color. That's good. Oh, I realized my little... what do I want it? I want it maybe a bit lighter. Maybe... Oh yeah, maybe like that. Okay. And it's literally just made a very subtle change, but it just makes it a little bit more blended. Let's see how it looks around the dog.
Sandrine also said some colored glass also works well, like for if you hold it in front of the...
Ooh, I haven't done that, but that sounds really nice. I have tried using little gels, like gel sheets. But yeah, colored glass sounds lovely. Definitely try that. Okay.
So many things I still have to try out.
I know. I mean, there's just so much, isn't there?
Yeah. If I think about all of this, my photography is pretty boring.
No, I feel the same. Don't worry. No, I honestly feel the same. You just see other people and you sort of go, oh no, why am I not doing that? And you realize there's just so much to do. Like drones. I would love to try some drone stuff.
I did that. Like I got a drone thinking, oh yeah, sure. I'm just gonna do some drone stuff. And then realizing you just can't fly a drone everywhere.
Yeah.
Allowed.
Yeah, you probably need permission, don't you?
You need permission, and it's you can't just do that in your backyard.
Yeah. And also I'm always just scared of it crashing and
Oh yeah.
getting in trouble.
Yeah, like being in a tree and then you're like, okay, this is just gonna stay there now.
Yeah. Okay. I think, unless I've missed something, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it looks great.
And then let's see how that looks compared. Maybe I shouldn't compare it to the one because I feel like it won't be as good, but that's okay, you know.
I think
interesting.
Is it a bit more saturated maybe? But I guess for me on screen here looks pretty much the same.
Yeah, it looks, you know what I think it is? I think the other one might be slightly darker, interestingly.
Yeah, a bit more.
Yeah.
Is it saturation? Is it darker? Is the background?
I think it's the background slightly darker, slightly more saturated, whereas mine's a bit whiter. Well, I say mine, as in the one I did today.
The other one from the other artist.
Yeah, my twin.
Yes.
Yeah. I do have another photo if you fancy. Or
yes, we have 15 more minutes if you want to go over it quickly.
Cool. I'll see if we'll just get as far as we do with that one. So yeah, bye dog. So this one does not have the dog, sadly.
Aww.
This I actually took last night because I thought let's just have something fresh. So I'll show you the before. That's just me looking,
laying on the floor.
How you do, and that's the after. And as you can see, I think I do have a slight bias towards portrait images. Don't know why. I just do, I guess. Just like portrait. Yeah, and as I sort of said earlier, I'm kind of focusing on the negative space aspect of my style. I don't know what it is. I just find it very calming having lots of negative space.
Yeah.
It just evokes some kind of emotion.
I also think it creates some sort of bigger dimension. Like I haven't done it because I take a lot of photos that are extremely close. And then now I'm trying to play a bit more with space around my subjects.
I was thinking that I was looking at your work earlier, and that is something I find so difficult. Those really close-up shots, they're really amazing. They're really beautiful.
Thank you.
If anything, I find that really hard. Whereas the far away shots, I feel like is more in my comfort zone.
Yeah, for me, it's just like this intimate thing of, and I shoot with a very long lens, so I'm not like the camera is not in these people's faces, but
What lens do you use?
For the close-up stuff, I use like 100 mil macro lens to get really in.
Nice. I was thinking, because the detail there is so good.
Yeah,
like it's so sharp and so crisp.
Macro, but also on an f-stop of like 12 minimum, because otherwise you would have already like the eye, like the lashes can be in focus and the eye out of focus. It's
wow,
whole thing.
That's really high. Oh wait, actually,
yeah, it's a lot of light that's needed for these super close shots.
Yeah,
to look good.
Yeah. Gosh. There we go. And then this one I'm gonna make portrait as well.
Yes.
So I get it sort of that nice. Here we go. Zoom out a bit.
In the middle.
Made it quite a bit. Maybe it was like here, roughly. I don't think it was all the way.
When you take the photos, do you already have in mind how you want them to look when they're done?
Yeah, actually, I do. I didn't used to, but now I do like to shoot with purpose and have a plan, just because otherwise I'll get really stressed during the shoot. I'll be like, what am I doing? You know, the Muppet that goes like that with the arms in the air. I feel like that if I'm not with a plan. So, yeah, personally, that's what works for me. That being said, that does often mean you have these expectations, and that can make, you know,
Yeah,
potentially set you up for disappointment. But yeah.
It's hit and miss. I feel like sometimes I have a very clear plan of what I want to do, and then I end up doing something completely different, or the final shot not being at all what I had in mind. And then sometimes it's good to have a plan, because otherwise it's too much all over the place. And then other times I feel like it's better just to be a bit more spontaneous, to not have this like fixed idea.
Yeah. Exactly. It does depend, doesn't it? I think it's all about mood as well. I think if you're in a creative rut, it's good to not have a plan and to just shoot and just let yourself be free, you know?
Yeah. Someone says happy accidents. Yeah, that's
exactly. Happy accidents. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what my parents call my brothers. They had twins at 22 years old, so that's why they say happy accidents.
But that's life.
Yeah.
Happy accidents.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
serendipity. That's what it is.
That's the word. Exactly.
Yeah. Lovely word. There's no translation for that in German, actually.
Is there not?
No, we don't have a word for it. Sadly. I've been looking into that.
Yeah. No, it's a good word.
I'll ask in the German stream today. Maybe someone can give me a good translation.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when you shoot stuff like that, you want add like the negative space on the top, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. Especially when I'm shooting landscape, I sort of know that I'll almost always make it portrait in the end. Just because, unless it's a group shot, obviously. Yeah. Don't know why, I just much prefer portrait. It's very odd. Maybe some of that, I will be honest, I must confess, that might be to do because of Instagram. And they say that when you post, you should take up, post real estate, is that what they call it?
And also
on the
that
feed.
It's bigger or something.
Yes, yeah. Maybe that's it.
The only thing that what I sometimes don't like is when that gets really into Instagram, but when you then look on the whole profile and it just zooms in on the photo, because obviously it's square when people look at your overall feed, and then it crops it a bit.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's why I think that's another reason, partly why I probably have it quite a lot of space around it.
So that even when it crops.
Yeah. But I'd still like to stick to the sort of rule of thirds as well, making sure I'm in one of those intersections. That being said, I'll crop it a tiny bit just to get rid of that tiny bit of arm. I don't know if you've noticed, there's just a tiny bit of arm that I want to get rid of. There we go. Nice. Okay, and let's do a bit more. Maybe I'll do one more of these and then I'll do clone stamping.
Yes. We have about like 8 more minutes, just so you know. But
okay, cool.
No rush.
Yeah. No, I mean,
it.
This is actually going fairly quickly. Maybe it'll be done, maybe not, but
exactly.
Yeah. I picked really simple images today just because in lockdown.
It's lovely.
Oh.
It shows that great art doesn't have to be super.
Thank you.
It's also about the idea and what you want to do with it.
Yeah, I very much believe less is more.
Yeah, agree.
That being said, I do see some photographers that utilize these crazy spaces with all these props and they make it look so good and purposeful. Whereas I find if I'm using props, I find it hard to actually give them a purpose and they end up just being there for the sake of it.
Yeah.
So some people are really good at that. It's just, I guess just different ways of working, isn't it?
Yeah. I feel like it also has, like you said, has to have purpose and has to fit the scene, the story.
Exactly. Let's set this nice and blended. Okay. Very nice, very nice. And then I wanted to smooth out this line here, just because it's a little bit harsh.
Yeah.
There we go.
Nice. How do you come up with the concepts for your self-portraits?
It's a good question. I mean, most of the time I will get inspiration from sort of TV or film, or maybe even like other photographers. So I try to do it in a way that I'm not stealing ideas. I'll sort of see something that I think I like that theme. Let's have my sort of interpretation of it. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because you want to be careful.
I completely understand. Like,
yeah,
just take inspiration from other places and make it your own.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I like music videos actually, funnily enough, just because they tend to be very visually interesting.
True.
Like when I was doing my group shoots, this pose, whenever I did it, I would say to them, think of Dua Lipa, because in her music video for New Rules,
they're laying like on top of each other, moving back and forth. I know.
Music video. I'll show it to people who don't know the reference, but they're all doing this.
Yes.
Oh, wait. Find a bigger image, maybe. Yeah.
Yes.
So that was literally my reference for everyone. And I'd play the song and I'd be like, New Rules. I don't know. And music videos. I think that is a big one for me. I love music videos, or good ones, obviously.
Yes.
Because they're just such a short space of time to make such a story and such an impact. Yeah.
And I really like this merge of music and visuals. Like,
oh gosh, yeah.
It's just incredible. I love that too.
Yeah. Oh, there's a little something on the backdrop I want to get rid of. A little white dot there.
Just before I forget,
I'm
doing a lot of self-portraits and so do you have any advice or anything, any tips for people that want to do maybe their own self-portraits? Anything you think might be helpful?
Yeah. I mean, one of the great things about them is that you don't have to show them to anyone. They could just be for yourself, so don't stress about that. What else? I'd say don't think about looking pretty. I think the best ones are the ones where you're just showing your actual emotion. So don't stress about that. I know it's easier said than done because, we're human. What's another one? What's another good... I mean, this is the thing. Like, I know not everyone's into Instagram, but Instagram is the place to find self-portrait photographers. There's some very seasoned self-portrait photographers that I've been following who've given some great advice. Like, I don't know, I'm sure, actually, she's probably done stuff on here. Sorel Amor. Don't know if you're... I mean, her videos are incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
And just starting from that kind of place, I think just they're nice as a visual diary. Actually, if you get into the habit of just doing one every week or every few days, you will get better at it. And I think it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to give advice because I think for a lot of people, it's just they don't feel like they look good in front of the camera. And for me, I mean, I just sort of, I always think they do. I'm like, no, you would look great, but it's hard to convince people of that,
Yes, I understand that. Yeah. So since we have 3 more minutes, just to wrap it up, quickly, or slowly, not quickly, no rush. I'm not a fan of rushing.
Of course.
So, are you happy with the image so far? What you've done?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say. Oh, sorry, accidentally clicked on that. I'd say it's pretty close. The only thing I haven't sort of finished is that little line, but I'd be. It's not that different, I'd say.
Yes, I agree. I think you pretty much nailed it this time, no? Or
I think it's pretty close.
Yeah,
I think this one's a bit brighter.
Yeah, you brighten up the background a little bit more.
Yeah, make it a bit bluer, whereas this is a bit more sort of
grey.
I mean, a bit more grey, but that's kind of nice,
Yeah, I like it too. Yeah. Awesome. I really enjoyed talking to you. This hour went by
I know, it really did. I mean, I'll be honest, I was a little bit nervous because I've never done something like this before, but you made it very relaxed and lovely.
I'm really
So
happy
thank
to
you.
hear that. I hope everyone in the chat and everyone watching enjoyed it as well.
Thank you
for joining us, Tara. And
yes.
I hope we keep in touch. I can't wait to see what you have in the future, what you have to show in the future. And if you want to follow Tara, you can find her on Instagram and you can check out her website to see more of her work. And we have more streams next week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Tim just dropped her Instagram and website in the chat. So go check that out. Highly recommend it. And thank you, everyone. Thank you again, Tara. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a great weekend. And I see you guys next week.
Ooh.